Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate you coming by. We are going to be breaking down the UFC 296 card for the Pilsners and Prelims UFC Betting Podcast. I'm here at Andy HH Sports, and with me is my counterpart, Rick, at Rick HH Sports. We are the Pilsners and Prelim tandem that represent the UFC betting portion of Happy Hour Sports. If you haven't been with us before, quick little recap of what the podcast is. Essentially, we break down every single fight of every single UFC fight card in 5-minute segments, just like a 5-minute round in mixed martial arts. We're going to be breaking it down 5 minutes here. We might not be in an octagon, but hopefully we can make you feel like it with the horn indicating the 5 minutes are up. And at the end of the horn, we'll be giving our picks, just like you'll hear the decision or Bruce Buffer telling you who got the finish. Rick, how you doing? I know we took last week off, but hopefully it was enough time to get you ready for this card if the card wasn't exciting enough for you. I mean, this could be the card of the year that we have in our hands to end it in December, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. We had a fun trip to Green Bay the other weekend. Sunday night was a hell of a game. We watched a good bit of tape coming back, and unfortunately I had a DMV issue where I had to drive 2 hours, and we ended up just calling the pod. But it ended up being a better fight card than I expected it to be. But, I mean, as they tend to go. The ones with the least amount of names end up having the most fun fights, but it did give me more time to prep for this fight card, and I'm excited. I mean, there's a couple fights after looking into it that aren't as exciting, but I think 90% of these fights are amazing, and we'll get to those fights, and then you'll hear which ones I'm talking about. But I mean, you've got from the first fight of the night with Randy Brown and Muslim Salikov, all the way to the end with Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. It should be fireworks throughout, even the fights that aren't as exciting. Those fights will probably get a finish, so you're probably getting excited in some form or fashion. So, fantastic card. I'm pumped for it, man. The last card of the year is always a fun one because there's 4 weeks off after this, which is sad. So, we'll have to find something to watch. But
college football bowl games will take over our time as we do have a college football bowl special coming to Happy Hour Sports. Well, you will be able to see every single bowl game written out with a preview. As we head into the first batch of them this Saturday, December 16th. So I'm really excited for that. We're bringing everybody on board from all of our writers on the Happy Hour Sports team to highlight each and every single bowl game that's going to be happening. They'll be giving their pick for the game as well as their betting expertise if they have it. So that will at least help fill up our time. Rick, to your point about this card, I think from a betting angle here, this is where I'm certainly perplexed. We have a lot of guys that are in this weird range where it's like you're about 2 steps away from typical pick'em odds. So we've got a lot of favorites that are like in that minus 160 to minus 190 range. That makes it a bit risky to just take one side without some kind of stipulation in there. I did take the plunge on 1 or 2, and we'll see that when we get there. But I do think that it is interesting that there are no real pick'ems on this one. Somebody is a decently sized favorite. Enough where you can still bet on it, but enough that if you lose one, it kind of sets you back where you have to win 2 fights or win a significant underdog to kind of recoup the money that you lose on one of these favorites.
Yeah, there are, and I enjoy those types of fights because typically, like, I mean, at least the way I see it, there's typically in those minus 200, like minus 160 lines, like a distinct advantage for one guy, but there's that big caveat, there's that big hole in their game that gives like enough pause to where it's like, well, I don't know, or he's regressing. The case of Cody Garbrandt. Where he's minus 2 of 5, but it's like, all right, well, is he going to have the same speed? Is that going to continue to translate? Is the wrestling of Kelleher going to be able to get to him? And there's many other fights like that, but yeah, it's exciting because you definitely can rip them straight up. And while it is juicier than any of us want to lay, sometimes the juice has to be laid. Sometimes there's value on a minus 200 guy because he should be minus 250, minus 300. You never know. But sometimes you just got to lay the juice all over him and just go from there. So that's how it is. But should be fun fights. We got 14 fights, 9 on the prelims, 5 obviously on the main card. That main card starts with everyone's favorite, Ian Machado Gary, the fan favorite at the moment. Everyone loves him. Everyone's talking about him for better or for worse. And then for worse, somehow in his shadow is Paddy Pimblett. Somehow the forgotten man of this card is a little bit Paddy Pimblett. It's a little weird how quiet he's going because we all know just how ridiculous he's going to be fight night when he's doing the jig in there after he sleeps Tony Ferguson, and he's just going to twerk on Tony Ferguson. It's going to be horrible.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Patty kind of found himself in Ian Gary's shoes last year at this time after Patty was really slamming the media, was really talking a lot of shit, and was rubbing people the wrong way with some of the things that he was saying heading into that fight against Jared Gordon. And then Jared Gordon probably should have won that fight. Actually, he really should have won that fight. It was one of those Dana White privileged decisions to Patty Pimblett. So now Gary finds himself in those shoes, and I'll touch on it a bit when we get to that preview. I'm very excited to talk about it, but as you can see by my nickname in the on StreamYard today. But I really do think that there is a angle here where you could make an argument for Luque because of all the outside noise, not just all the outside noise and fighting aside. And that's something that's a little underrated to talk about in the octagon. But again, we'll get there when we get there. 2 awesome title fights with Leon Rocky Edwards taking on Colby Chaos Covington, as well as Alexander Pantoja taking on Brandon Raw Dog Royval. Royval may as well have Chaos as his nickname because Covington's not really bringing nearly as much chaos as Raw Dog does in the octagon.
No, man. I'm excited to get in that one. I'm going to wait and touch on that one, but that's going to be a fun fight because, I mean, you know as well as anybody, Andy, I rode Pantoja all the way to the top. And I may continue to here, but we'll see. That's going to be – I mean, the flyweight division is just the most fun to watch, in my opinion. Those guys are just so fast and slippery. They don't have the knockout power, but they're going to give you entertainment for sure. So, huge fights all up and down the card. I'm Wonder Boy Thompson for the day, local South Carolinian, down the road from me. Just about 30 minutes away in Simpsonville. I'm up in Greenville, so excited to see him. Hopefully he doesn't get slept. There's a good chance he does. More than a good chance. There's a great chance. But we'll cheer him on nonetheless. We'll see if my money follows my heart there, but probably not.
Definitely a lot of passing of the guard.
Oh, yeah, it is a passing of the guard. And hopefully Rachmanov gets where Stephen Wonderboy Thompson could never get, which is a championship belt. But that's to be seen. 17-0. Let's see if he can keep the 0. But let's get into the main card. Let's get into those prelims. Let's not jump all the way to the main card. Let's get into the prelims. We'll start with Randy Brown and Muslim Salikov. Hell of a matchup. We'll see you there. Thanks for tuning in again to another episode of the Pilsners and Prelims Podcast out of Happy Hour Sports. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the message or enjoyed the podcast. And be sure to tune in to our future videos as we break down each and every UFC card each week. Looking forward to seeing you then, and thanks again for the support. Appreciate it.